In Chapter 9, Landed Soils, I expect you to understand what is plate tectonics, what are weathering and the erosion process, and we learn a little bit of soil, the science of soil. And I expected that understanding weathering and erosion will be a little bit confusing, and it's a little bit hard to understand the soil profile. So for these, you probably, after you listen to the lecture, you want to go back and you read your book and you want to reflect on it and make sure you really understand the concepts. And then we're going to talk about sustainable land management. And I'm going to talk about soil conservation practices, mining, watershed and the floodplains, because we are living in an area like this, and the importance of wetlands. Now, the internal structure of the earth, and I like this picture very much. And when you think about internal earth structure, I want you to vision this hard-boiled egg, because the egg yolk will be the core of the earth. It's made of nickel and iron, and then we have this mantle, the red part of the egg. Apologize for my cursor. There we go. So the mantle actually made up most of the earth. And we have this very thin crust, and we're living on this crust. And we're going to see that anatomy of the crust later. If you want to have a scale of how deep this is, and this will give you a reference. And I can tell you different figures from different sources have a little bit variation of the depth of each layer, but this is pretty close. I think it is close to the standard everybody use. And again, this is a very thin layer, the crust, and then we have different layers of mantle, and then we have this core. Now, let's look at this slice of pie first, okay? And I want you to pay attention, pay very close attention. This is the crust, everybody, and the blue part is ocean. So the outer surface is fairly thin, and this is the crust. And the lithosphere is this part, okay? Lithosphere, that means crust in the uppermost solid mantle, because litho means rock. So lithosphere means the rocky layer. And if you look at the mantle have a hot layer, and pay attention to this orange, deep orange layer that's called asthenosphere. And this is very special. It's liquid, it's fluidic, and it's constantly moving. Only this layer, okay? Asthenosphere. And then there's another layer of mantle, but as long as we know, this part is not as soft as this part. Okay, so this part is vitally important. It is flowing around all the time. It's liquid, plastic. And then this is a different layer of mantle. And this is the core. Now look at the graph of textbook, and we can see this is a thin crust, right? This is continental part, this is the ocean part of the crust. And lithosphere means hard rock. So this part is hard, and asthenosphere is over here. It's sitting below the lithosphere and a part of the mantle that is hot and fluid and plastic. And because asthenos means without strength, thus this layer is not weak but soft and moving. And this is a I would say this is a fundamental part of plate tectonics. It's because this layer is moving. That's why our continents, the plates of continents, are moving. So this is a time scale. Long time ago, there's only one continent. And because of the movement of anisosphere, and they gradually drift away the different places of the continent, and we divide the different places of continent like this. And now this is what happens today. And some of the places are joining together, some of the parts are drifting away. If we look at this, you can see those red spikes, and there's arrow labeling the movement of the plates. For example, Himalaya mountains is growing every year, about a few centimeters. And also, if you look at uranium plates, okay, it's constantly pushing that way. So after millions of years later, I can take a ferry from United States and back to China. I don't have to fly a plane to China anymore. Just take a ferry and cross the ocean and got into China. Only take a million years. And so this is a simplified graph from our textbook about the movements of those plates. So to summarize, plate tectonics is a concept that the outer surface of the Earth consists of larger plates, and those larger plates are made of the crust and the outer portion of the mantle, and these plates are slowly moving over the surface of the liquid outer mantle. That's the anisosphere. And what energy drives this process? It's heat from the Earth, the energy from the Earth. And the plates are pulling apart in some areas, colliding in others. Please watch this video. This is really fun to watch and only take a few minutes. And the different source of movement of those plates create different splendid landforms. If they pull apart, it's our real cookie pull apart, we will have a nice rift and the spreading of the seafloor. Excuse me. If we have this kind of movement, that the two pieces pushing each other, we have mountains, and we have growing mountains getting higher. And if they drifted away like this, we will have a fault. Okay, we'll have fault looking like this. And those movements cause earthquakes and eruption. I would say the other way. So the earthquakes, eruption of volcanoes that eventually led to the landforms like this. Okay, and the borders between the plates are characterized by fractures called faults. So that's a place it broke. It's called faults. And if you want to learn more about volcanoes and earthquakes, watch this video. They have really nice short videos. And if you are looking for the evidence of the plate tectonics, you can check out this link. It's really fun to watch. Now, if we look at the rock cycle, okay, the hot stuff from deep inside of Earth, moving to the surface like this. Okay, this is magma chamber, and we have eruption of a volcano. So the hot magma flow out and then cool down and form igneous rock. Okay, and because of the movement underneath, it sometimes could be pushed up and form a mountain area. And then the weathering and the erosion take place. We are going to learn what are weathering and erosion. Okay, and so the big piece of rock get broken down and carried away and become the sedimentation. Okay, the sedimentary rock formed from the sedimentation. And sometimes it could be transformed to metamorphic rock. And you probably wonder what's the difference. It's the different place of the rock and the rock undergoing this transformation because of the heat and the pressure. It completely changed to another type of rock. So this is a constantly change on the surface of the Earth. And please review these 3 slides for yourself, okay? So you know what is erosion, what is sediment, what is sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. Just to quickly mention, we're going to talk about this more, so I'm not going to talk about erosion, but quickly, erosion is movement of the rock particles and the soil particles. And a quick word about sediment. Sediment resulted from erosion, okay? And the sedimentary rock is it undergoes pressure and the temperature high enough to cement it together into solid. So the sediment is changed to sedimentary rock because of heat and the pressure. And the same thing here, the same reasons. And the sedimentary rock can transform to metamorphic rock. And please review those slides by yourself. And this is the end of the first part of the lecture.